For LGBT History Month, a Sky data poll has measured the public's attitudes towards the knowledge of LGBT+ issues. It found that while attitudes were generally very positive, there was a lack of understanding about some aspects like asexuality.
Now, half of people asked thought they could confidently define what asexuality is, but when put to the test, 75% of people were wrong or didn't know. Well, Charlie Bell has met 4 people with very diverse experiences of asexuality.
Tom and Steve Wintergrey are an asexual couple who've been married for 18 months. They met through an asexual dating website and are looking to adopt kids in the near future. They've chosen to pursue romance, despite their asexuality.
Well, we both identify as a homo-romantic asexual, so we are attracted to males, but in a romantic capacity. There is nothing sexual about my attraction to Tom and Tom's attraction to me. As with all other couples as well, we kiss and we cuddle, and that's where it stops.
I think a lot of people talk about how sexual chemistry needs to be, it needs to work together, and in a weird sort of way, it works for us because there isn't.
What's interesting is people seem to have this wonderful, wonderful sense of wanting to be really involved in something that they wouldn't ever ask any other couple, regardless, whatever orientation or whatever identity they are. They'd never be involved in it, they'd never see it, but they seem as though they want to know more about the fact that we don't do it.
Well, you can see Charlie's film, Life Without Sex, Asexuality Explained, skynews.com and on our YouTube page. But to shed more light on it right now, asexual student and YouTube vlogger Emi Salida, good to see you this morning.
Morning.
It's quite brave, isn't it, to sort of brand yourself in public as being asexual?
Yeah.
Because people say either don't know what it means or have a view on it that isn't, I guess, not particularly helpful to you. So explain it for us.
So asexuality is just not experiencing sexual attraction. That can be different to romantic orientation. But for me, I'm very proud of being asexual. I've been doing YouTube for like 4.5 years, and I didn't start making videos about asexuality until a couple of years after I knew I was asexual, because to me there was something scarily permanent about putting it on the internet. But I'm just very aware that if in the future I don't fully identify in exactly the same way as I do at 19, then there's nothing wrong with that.
Is there a sense though with this then that the view of other people about you is that maybe it's just a phase, or it's just, you just want to be celibate for the time being, or rather than it actually being a part of you as a person?
So one of the kind of things I know about myself on a fundamental level is that I am asexual. Sex and sleeping with people is just not for me, and I'm okay with that. If that was to even slightly change in the future, that's fine, but this is how I identify at the minute. And the amount of resources online for asexuality, there's not that many of them. When I was 16 and just learning about asexuality, I turned to YouTube, and I left kind of comments on YouTube that were just like a just turned 16-year-old, very kind of confused as to, well, why don't I feel sexual attraction? Like, why haven't I kind of had the experiences that everyone else seems to have had? And those are the kind of comments that I've ended up getting on my videos now. So I've kind of gone full circle, and that's one of the reasons I'm so open about it on YouTube, because I'd be open about it if I was talking to a friend. And I know that even just seeing one person online who feels the same way you do or putting it into words can just be so validating and so incredible.
You seem to make a distinction in your first answer there between having sexual desire and wanting to be romantically involved with someone. What is that distinction? So
for most people, those two things line up. But I find a lot of the time on the asexual spectrum, they don't necessarily line up. So as in the documentary, there is an asexual couple who are romantically involved, but not sexually involved, and that doesn't take anything away from their relationship because they still care for each other and experience the romantic attraction. But the distinction is different for different people. So for me, how I define romantic attraction might be kind of like dates and kissing and kind of typically like film romantic stuff. But for someone else, that might be something else entirely. And I think that's a really important thing as well.
What struck me was you tweeted last night that you were coming on the show. And I noticed on my timeline quite a lot of people, I mean students, most of them actually, but in the same position as you.
Yeah.
So this is, it was one of those issues, where, a bit like the whole transgender thing, where, you know, up until a few years ago, we didn't really talk about it much, and a lot more people are coming forward. That it seems to be there are probably quite a few more asexual people out there than we thought.
Yeah, and I think there's a lot of people who might be on the asexual spectrum that they don't even quite realise it until someone puts it into words. When I was 16, my attitude was I will work out my orientation when I work it out, if that's gay, bi, straight, whatever. You know, I'm not in a rush. I'm only 16. Like, so what? But then I found the term of asexuality, and I kind of spent like a solid month kind of Googling and being like, oh, maybe that is me. Maybe my sexuality is essentially a lack of sexuality. I haven't got a sexuality to discover, and that was a big realization for me.
Yeah. Well, do you know, it is absolutely fascinating stuff, and I think it's well worth watching Charlie's film
very
on the website and on YouTube, because it's an area we don't talk about and aren't familiar with, so it's good to educate ourselves, if nothing else. Really good to see you this morning.
Emi, thank you.
Thank you very much indeed.
Having me.
So that clip just there is from when I was on Sky News' breakfast show at the beginning of February in 2019. It was an incredible experience, and I was on it to talk about the documentary that I did about asexuality with the wonderful Charlie Bell. The documentary is linked in the corner and also in the description. I'm really happy with how it turned out, and I'm just overwhelmed at the response that we've got from the documentary. I only recently got hold of the clip and watched the whole thing, so in case you missed it, there it was. I just wanted to post it on my channel so that it's something that I can always remember and that people can see even if they missed it when it was live. So thank you very much for watching, and I will see you in the next video that I make, which will be very soon. And yeah, cool. Still can't believe I was on actual Sky News, but sure.